Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles. My name is Danny De Lillo. I'm delighted to be here with Dani, Katherine, and Mary with their movie, Cool for 5 Seconds. Let's take a look at the clip.
Hey.
Hey.
You came.
I said I would.
No, I know. It's just,
No.
It's not like you to follow through, that's all.
Follow through?
Yeah.
You don't know me well enough to say things like that.
What do you mean I don't know you?
Not well enough to say things like that.
Are you cold?
No.
Is that all you're wearing?
Huh?
You're not even wearing a coat.
It's a jacket.
No, it's not. It's like a cardigan or something.
It's a jacket.
Can you not afford a coat? Stop. Wait, where are you going?
You can't be cool even for like 5 seconds.
Thank you all from your virtual spaces across the country for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
As I've I've worn your ears off by how much I love your film. I really do, and I want everyone to see it. But for those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
Cool for 5 Seconds follows two sisters, Colleen and Eleanor. Colleen invites Eleanor to meet her after a long time of being estranged from each other, and things don't go exactly as Colleen planned.
Well, we're going to get into the actual depth of the story in a second, but I was just captivated by this, and I'm curious about where did the inspiration come for you in creating this particular project?
So Cool for 5 Seconds started out actually as a short play. I found the play because I love the writer. Her name is Calamity West. She's a Chicago-based playwright. And I ended up directing the piece with Mary and Katherine in it for a short play festival several years ago. And we were so taken with how this script represents like complicated, nuanced, and realistic women characters. We felt like the project merited a wider reach, and so we partnered with Calamity to adapt the script for film.
Must be so amazing to take a play and then adapt it into something that is now going to be filmed. Like what that must be quite a wonderful experience, like to do something like that.
Well, from a directing perspective, it was really exciting because the play, if you've seen it, you know that like the characters sit at a table and they don't move for the entire piece.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was directing the play, I felt like I didn't actually have a lot of tools as a director, because when you're working in theater, your main tools are kind of like space and movement. But with the added presence of the camera, I felt like I got to make choices about how I wanted to communicate the story with a lot that gave me a lot more clarity of perspective as a director. So that was the main difference for me. And it was very welcome for this particular story. I think it really supported what Calamity was trying to do.
And Mary and Katherine, wow, your performances were captivating, and I really just engrossed in this relationship between these two sisters. How did you both, initially get involved with the project and with Dani?
So Mary and I were kind of like feeling sad because we didn't have agents.
Oh.
Like, we got to do a project that people will see to get us agents. And so it's so funny because this project, which first began really because we just wanted people to see our work, it's grown into this larger thing that has been so much more beneficial and also rewarding than like what we initially set out for it to be, because we met Dani through that. We ended up making a film. It didn't even end up being about this like play festival that we did. We made a film that we're really, really proud of.
Yeah. And we cast ourselves. Like, we read the script once. Dani, like before we met up with Dani was like, I have this idea of a script we could use. Take a look at it. And then Katherine and I met up before Dani got there, and we were like, so you're playing Colleen and I'm playing Eleanor, right? And we were like, cool, yeah, that makes sense. Because Katherine and I have been friends for a while, so we like already knew which character worked in our voices.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly felt like I was, as I was saying in a little green room, I felt that I was at this diner with you both, just like going through this really, you know, a conversation that was very difficult. And I think one of the most beautiful things that you both gave it is that, you know, I think universally people can really relate to maybe an experience they've had with this, with a family member, with a close friend, this conversation that has just got so much backstory to it. Like you both gave us all this backstory without even saying anything. It was remarkable. And so I really enjoyed that. Was it really nice for you both as actors to get your teeth stuck into something? And obviously you have to establish this relationship. I mean, you obviously you're friends. How was that as an actor to sort of like, oh, this is such a great role to play?
I would say it was awesome, first of all, because we already knew the script and from performing it live. So we had a lot of like ability to just like go. We knew it backwards and forwards. So when we were filming, we were able to be really flexible with all the shots, and we were able to like be a little bit improvisational with like how we were approaching some of the shots. And I think like when you're inside of it, it is really tense. Because of like the arc of the script, Calamity does such a good job of like leading the characters in. So like you're having this really intense conversation that started out so innocuous, like just like some like a little bit of bickering, and then it gets so real. But I have to say, like when we watched it on a big screen for the first time, I was like the back of my neck was getting really hot. I was like, wow, like this is, you really can't get away from this conversation. Like as an audience member, like I actually felt almost more trapped there as an audience member, like just like in the conversation, than as an actor when I was playing it. Just because I like, as an actor, knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, that's so interesting you said that, because I almost felt like I wanted to be there, but because it was so intense, I was trapped there, and I was like, I need to know what's going on. I need to know more. Which you know, I if you want anything else to add, Katherine, on that from your perspective, and I'll come back to you.
Just that there's still so few female characters written that are allowed complexity and to be ugly sometimes. Especially given the fact that we're not talking about primarily like women issues. We're talking about something that is human, and this is a human experience regardless of gender. And just being allowed to play a character and work with a script in that way is actually not as common as it should be. And so that's something that also really attracted us to that, is we're allowed to be complex humans in these female bodies that we have, which often we're not allowed to be on screen.
I mean, it's an extremely important fact, and I think that, you know, goodness me, I mean, we are so massively behind from the get-go of this industry, and so that is just something to recognize. It is so important. Any storyteller that is moving forward when, you know, writing you know, female characters, because that, you know, it's like you say, it's like it's been heavily unfair in the complexity of characters for females up until now, and still going on. So I'm glad you brought up that point. Dani, like what's amazing, even though this scene was like you were just there in this one scene, I couldn't help thinking how wonderfully directed it was, because, you know, it must be quite difficult directing a scene that is literally in the same space, where the audience see the same, you know, experience almost as what you would do as if you were in the scene or even part of the production. How was that experience with you directing, and how much of for you did you allow your actors to kind of lead, and how much did you kind of work with them in that process as well?
Question. So this is actually my first film. So I was
Crazy. I can't believe it.
Thank you. So I knew that I wanted to do something that was really simple, because I wanted to, you know, I was learning a lot as we went on this process, and I knew that I wanted to keep things as simple as possible to like set myself up for success. And when they were in one location, I felt like the camera got to be kind of like the third person in the scene. And so my choices around camera placement really had to do with how I wanted the audience to feel about the conversation at any given moment. One of the kind of like bigger choices that I made is that I decided that I wanted the film to mirror Colleen's psychology. So we start with, she has like a hyper awareness of kind of like the whole space. And then things kind of start to fall away as she starts to focus more and more on Eleanor. And I think that has partially to do with her like anxiety and self-awareness in that space going away. Something that Katherine mentioned is how like gender plays into this piece. And like, I was really curious about how can I make a film that is not about like something very topical, but is still really about an experience of gender. So I tried to really consider both characters like gender and sexuality and how that would affect their behavior in any given moment throughout. And that really informed the ways we position the camera. So Colleen mentioned she has a lot of body dysmorphia, for example. So we, in the beginning, she's feeling very nervous and is very aware of her body and space. So shots like the shot from like under the table, things that really put her body in like the center of the story.
Yeah.
Were things we really wanted to kind of like present up front. And then you kind of feel a lot like those things kind of fall away. And there's like a lack of that awareness as they start to focus on each other as like people rather than like people in space, I guess.
Danny, I can't believe it's your first film. Like, there's so much, so much, just you think, I feel like you've been doing this for like years. Like, your intellectual film intelligence is really amazing, because I was psychologically feeling all those placements that you were, what you were providing for your audience. I was feeling that, in sort of with my empathy of what the characters are going through from how you were taking us in that journey. So that was really interesting to know.
Katherine and Mary, because they were so invested, we were able to rehearse a lot, which really helped me as a director choices, because we rehearsed for several months, and during our rehearsals when we were working on this text, I got to kind of like explore all these different options. So I'm also very grateful to them for their time.
Yeah, I would say too that like, since the three of us are kind of co-producers, we're co-producers on the project. When Dani was preparing, it was super informative for me and Katherine as well, because when Dani was preparing as a director, a lot of times she would run like ideas for shots by us or whatever. Like when she came up with the idea for the creamer sort of ballet, is what Dani calls it at the beginning. She like told me about it when we were eating at a diner one day, and that kind of reflected into how we started collaborating like throughout our entire process, all the way up until now through festivals. Like, we are able to use each other to bounce off for like artistic ideas. And it has just helped me really understand like how important that is, how important it is to have a couple people who you really believe in for like a first look at something, a first like pitch for something. So
people to go to lots of diners with to location scout is also, we ate a lot of breakfasts.
Yes, bring on the breakfast. The creamer ballet, as you put it, was from the get-go, it was incredible, and how it tied in the end was absolutely fantastic. But it was just great because, already it felt there was from a directorial perspective and a producer perspective, there was already a really cool style that you absorbed. And I hope that I get to see much more of those nuances in your next films you work on together, because I really, really loved that. And it had meaning from the get-go, because there I am already thinking, what does this mean? What is this in reference to? And of course it does tie in with at the end, but it was very clever. What has the reaction been we loved having it with us at NewFilmmakers LA, and how's it been just sharing it with other audiences? How's that experience been for you all?
It's been obviously really exciting. Part of the reason why we made this film was to go on the festival circuit. That was something that we knew we wanted to do before we even made the film. And we've definitely found success at like really great like regional independent festivals. And we loved working with you all. But it's also been interesting in the midst of all of this to pivot Yeah, and so this is all of our first time on the festival circuit at all. We have this like giant spreadsheet of probably like hundreds of festivals and things like that. So we're all learning together in that way. And then also to have this pandemic happen in the middle of that, even more pivoting.
Yeah.
But it's been great. We love it when people see it. And it's been really affirming to have it like get really good feedback too. That makes us feel good.
Yeah, as you should, as you should. What about for you, Dani?
Yeah, I think that even though you know, we're all experiencing a bit of disconnect right now, something that I think this project has really helped, like Calamity, the writer, I think one of her great strengths is like the things that she leaves unsaid, and there's so much in this film that no one reveals. So you go through the film kind of like having to kind of activate your imagination to fill in the gaps of the story. And so in response, I have heard really beautiful like interpretations, and then also like personal stories from people who engage with the film. I've been able to kind of like connect with people really deeply about like experiences with their family and their siblings, and just like generally people in their life that they thought of while they were watching this, because it's kind of applicable to lots of different situations.
Yeah.
So it has been a cool way to like connect with people despite it all.
Yeah. I don't have a sister in real life, but I have heard from a lot of people that who are sisters, that they're like, oh man, this reminds me so much of me and my sister. So that's been really cool because I've always wanted a sister. So now I feel like I have a memory with a sister, even though it wasn't a totally good memory.
I'm sure Katherine would be your adopted sister.
I'll be your sister.
No, I think that's honestly, I think the power of this film, you know, will relate, and honestly, I think it will just help a lot of people to see this film, because, you know, everyone's got a lot of the strange things that they don't speak of or tell about, or life's got in the way, or years have gone past, or experiences have happened, and I think that is the magical thing that you created in this art that you put together. And also anyone that's been through things, you know, it universally helps you to understand and educate and etc. And I'm so glad you all made it. Moving on, I know it's difficult times right now, but what's next for people? Are people still being creative in these times? What's next for you all, together or individually?
Well, I filmed a short film during quarantine about a young woman who writes a fan fiction about a show she becomes very invested in and fixated on. And that's in post-production right now. Hopefully it'll be done in the next couple of months.
Oh,
so,
congrats, Katherine.
Thanks.
That's great. Well done.
Thank you.
And yeah, Dani or Mary?
Well, I shot a commercial and a short film last week.
Oh wow!
So the short film, I'm an actor in it. It's called Bella and Bernie. So that will come out probably in the next year, and that was really exciting. And then I'm writing and in pre-production development mostly for a short film called Rough River Lake that I'm going to direct in Kentucky in September.
Fantastic. Oh, well done. Fantastic.
Thanks.
And Dani too.
Yeah, I am definitely kind of taking this time to really figure out what I want to make next and explore the things that I'm interested in. I have never written material for myself to direct, so I've been writing some scripts and kind of seeing what story I want to tell. And you know, this project was so fantastic for me to like build my skill set as a director, and now I am trying to kind of figure out like exactly what stories I want to tell moving forward. So yeah, super early phases of a bunch of things.
Well, it's very exciting because it's your first film, and you know, I'm really excited for what visions you create for us, you know, moving forward, and you know, same for you, Katherine, and Mary as well. You are all a really wondrous team. I just feel like you just made a little gem, you know, together, and so I'm so glad that you brought this film to us, and also thank you for being such inspiring and invigorating voices as well. I think, you know, you've all just got so much, you know, goodness to share and inspiring each other. So I really appreciate that you created this film and brought it to us. And, you know that we love you at New Filmmakers. So just keep making more movies for us, please.
Thank you for giving
Thanks, Dani.
to us.